You won't see my face, but you can still ask questions. All right. So, any questions you got about credit? Any questions you got about any type of debt collection letters you got? If you received any, you can ask them questions today. If you want me to show you anything dealing with your credit reports, you can email those to me, and I'm gonna type the email inside of the comment box real quick. So if you got a document or anything you want me to see, you can email those documents to me, or you can text it. My number's going across the bottom, and I can have those ready for the next Wednesday huddle that I have. I'm actually not in a regular location like I'm normally at, so that's why you really don't see me on the camera as much. But you can ask me some questions. But I'm gonna put my email here. So if there's a document you want me to see, if you want to blurt out anything, you can, and I can use that for the next live. All right, so let me put this email in the comment box. All right. So I'm gonna be showing you, and I like to try to start off with telling you what your credit report consists of, so you can know exactly the reason why I, per se, my specialty is dealing with debt collection and dealing with inaccuracies on your credit report, especially when you're dealing with late payments, especially when you're dealing with collections, because I feel like if you get the bulk of your points, if you want your score to raise up, and it depends on every other factor that's on your credit file too. If you want your score to go up a little faster than you expected to, or more than what you expected to, you'll have to dispute, or you'll have to target these areas on your credit report. So now this all depends on what else is on your credit report. So let me zoom in. I also, for my people who's actually trying to fix their own credit, to give you like some sort of guidance so you can keep track of like what companies you're disputing with, what credit bureaus. There's no such thing as credit bureaus. I do have a free dispute tracker that's also located in the file section of the Secret TLC Facebook group, and that's free. You can download that. That is also free on our Consumer Scholars University. Also, if you sign up for our mailing list, and the link is in the description box, if you sign up for our mailing list, you get a free template, the personal information letter. If you're just starting your journey out, and even if you've disputed before and you've pursued these companies, you can still use the personal information letter, because you still may have items or incorrect names, addresses, date of birth, phone numbers, and a lot of times a lot of accounts don't get deleted because the old negative derogatory accounts are tied to outdated information. So you get that letter free, the personal information letter free, when you sign up for our mailing list. And if you've also purchased my ebook, The Guide to a True Line of Credit, you purchase that, you also get that letter included inside of the free inside of the ebook. All right, so when we're talking about credit, we're talking about what 5 things make up your credit report. So if you got questions, you can ask them as I'm going through this. So let me get to it. Let me share my screen. All right. I do want to zoom in some. All right, so the 5 things that make up your credit report, the 5 different sections and parts that make up your credit report, is your payment history, credit utilization, credit age history, the credit mix, and your new credit. So people don't think that new credit affects your credit. Yes, it does, because that lets lenders know what you've been applying for. Did I put it on the screen? Let me put it on the screen. That lets lenders know what you've been applying for, especially when you get when you have now. Why is it not popping up? Oh, I know why. Give me 1 second, please. Give me 1 second. All right, so now I got it because I'm like, oh, and I can't really see this. See if I can zoom in some. Trying to get this situated. All right, so it's added to the thing. Let me see if y'all can see this. I'm gonna remove it, and then I'm gonna add it back. There we go. Now I'm not sure if you can see. I can see it just a little bit. Let me make sure I can see it. Okay, yeah, I can see it. So what you see in red, the payment history, credit utilization, the credit agent history. I like to target those because that's where you get the bulk of the points. So payment history consists of 35% of your credit score. Credit utilization, that means your debt to income ratio, how much credit you're using, as opposed to how much credit you have available. That counts as 30% of your score. And credit age and history, how long an account has been on your credit report, especially those good standing accounts. How long have you had this good standing account? Say, for instance, I know a lot of people like to get student loans deleted from the credit report. I say only target and find inaccuracies, and you can find inaccuracies in any trade line that you want, because one of the requirements that consumer reporting agencies have is to make sure they're reporting accurately and completely. So if you find any type of inaccuracy, you can dispute it. But a lot of times when you dispute, especially when you're not disputing with the consumer reporting agencies and you're disputing with the actual creditors or the companies, the debt collectors, or the companies that lended you the money, you run the risk of them closing your account. So when you dispute something, make sure you make it known to them that you don't want the account closed. You just want them to correct, or you want them to fix whatever errors on their credit report. So if you notice the payment history here, that's 35%. You can potentially earn up to 357.5 points by itself. So if you're sitting, and I'm just gonna give you an example, if you're sitting at a credit score of I'm gonna say 400, and you get rid of all your late payments, your collections, anything dealing with payment history, and you get that fixed, deleted, removed, or whatever you choose to do to get remedy, you could potentially be at in the 700 just by fixing the late payments and the collections that's included or reporting derogatory and negative inside of your credit report. Okay. Also, too, when you're disputing this company, one thing I'm gonna give you a rule of thumb. The best thing to do is, anytime you're disputing these companies, always ask them to give you a copy of your credit file. Okay. They're required to give you a copy of your credit file. I didn't say consumer report, because when you go to Experian, when you go to TransUnion, when you go to Equifax, anytime you get that report, you download it or you request that they send you one in the mail. That's what they call disclosures. And a lot of times when you're just getting the disclosure, a lot of times they have errors, and they'll use that in court to try to get out of or wiggle out of. Is only a disclosure, it's not the actual credit file. So you can request for your credit file, but if I was you, always have something in writing, or try to record when you call them, because they're not supposed to deny you your credit file. So listen to me careful. You're not asking for your consumer report, which is a disclosure. You're asking for your credit file. That means they have to give you everything, the entire file. And if you get your disclosure, you could take your disclosure and you could take that credit file and you could compare them. Because if they're reporting the same thing, then the TransUnion, Equifax, whatever consumer reporting agency that you're disputing with, they have no choice but to bow down. They have no choice but to say, but to acknowledge that there was an error. So if you get both, it kind of helps you out, especially if you have to litigate. So it's a difference between getting your consumer report, which is the disclosure, and your credit file. And another thing that you can do is always get your credit reports from places like annualcreditreport.com and myfico.com. They do have smart credit, but those two are the only two because annualcreditreport.com, it pulls from the credit bureaus, but annualcreditreport.com is a third party um, website. It's a third party company. So in order to, if you're trying to litigate TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian or whatever consumer reporting agency, they have to, you have to show proof that they publish this information. And if you download it from annualcreditreport.com, that's a third party. If you get it from MyFICO, at least if you sign up for MyFICO, you get a copy of your credit reports, and you're also getting your actual FICO score from that website. So it's a benefit to both, and myfico.com is a third party company. So it's like the credit bureaus are furnishing this information to a third party. They're publishing it. Okay. So use those two sites. I recommend them, but you have your own choice because you get to pick which one is affordable for you and which way you want to. But I'm just giving you the two things that'll help you out later on down the road when you're dealing with trying to dispute. So if you got any questions, go ahead and drop them inside of the comment box, whatever question you got. I'm going to show you an example of an actual credit report, but we want to target, and we want to first, I want to get you to first look at your payment history. I want you to take a look at if there's any collections, if there are any charge-offs. Let's target those first, and you can go about it whatever way you want. But if you target those first, that's where you get the bulk of your points from. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna look for this. Let me take this screen down. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna bring you to a sample credit report, because if we get used to looking for inaccuracies, and I don't care if it's a missing account number, because in order for them to put it on your credit report, there has to be a legitimate and correct account number, because the credit bureaus are not reporting this information themselves. They're getting this information from furnishers, from the companies that you actually went into that agreement with, or that extended you that credit. So that means that when you dispute with the credit bureaus, they have to send documentation or your dispute through the electronic system called eOscar. And once they send it to the furnishers have to report back to them if the information is verifiable or if the information is accurate and complete. So when they send it back to the credit bureaus, if it says accurate and verified, and you know for a fact that there's a error, you don't have to dispute again. You can. It's always good a good thing to put them on notice again, because the more that they sit there and tell you that it's verified and you got proof that it's inaccurate, get you a consumer lawyer. Get you a consumer lawyer. Whatever I say on my lives, and don't take as legal advice, because it's not legal advice. It's for entertainment purposes and educational purposes only. But get you a lawyer, a consumer lawyer. But let me find this example credit report. I'm not going to be on here too long. But don't forget to sign up for our mailing list so you can get that free personal information letter, so you can start correcting your personal information. All right, so I'm going to show you. Let me see if I can zoom in some more. All right. I don't know if you can see this or not. All right, so let me share my screen. The only thing to this is, oh yeah, you'll be able to see my mouse. Gotcha. All right, so let me share my screen. I'm going to present. Okay, here's a sample, an example of a credit report. All right. So now, just to show you that looking for inaccuracies, that's where you're going to base your dispute off of, okay? That's where you're going to base your dispute off of. Make sure I got it. All right. So if you take a look, a look. We take a look at the account. Now, we know we look at the creditor's name, and this one is Speedy Cash. So we're going to look at the account. Check to see, and this company is actually reporting across TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. So we're going to look at the account number 4062. Now, those asterisks or stars that you see, it has to be the correct number, because that's letting you know how many digits are in that actual account number. So we're going to look at Experian 4062. I got 4 here, 4062, and I got 4 here. So they're reporting, not saying that that's the correct account number. If you know for a fact that that's the wrong account number, dispute it. But if it's correct and they're reporting the same thing going across the board, then we're going to move on. Always look at your high balance, because if you look at your high balance, and then if you come down and look at your balance owed, your balance owed should never be higher than your high balance. Okay? Your balance owed should never be higher than your high balance. Okay, if it is, that means that they had added some fees in. If I was you, I would dispute those. Okay, I would dispute those. So they got 557 for the high balance going across. That's fine. Now, anytime you see these dashes, that's incomplete reporting, because this same company, Speedy Cash, is reporting a date. Let's look at the last verified date. They're reporting a last verified date to TransUnion as February 28, 2021, but they're not reporting that exact date to Experian or Equifax. You can dispute that. And y'all, the thing to this is dispute everything that you see. If you got to make a long list, make a long list. Because if you don't get them with one thing, you're going to get them with something else. And if they can't fix that entire account or this entire trade line, they must delete it. They have to delete it. So I would dispute any and everything. Dispute any and everything. You can print a copy of this out. You can mark on it. Make sure you make a list of what it is that you see inaccurate. Now, when it comes to this being detailed about your dispute, if they're saying that the balance is the high balance is 557, and you know for sure that you didn't take out no loan for 557, you don't have to say that the actual loan was $600. You don't have to tell them what they supposed to already know. Okay, because if the credit bureaus is getting this information from the furnishers, the furnisher was supposed to have been giving them this because the furnisher has to input this information in the system. They have to input it. So you could just tell them high balance inaccurate. You could say that. Okay. The date of last activity, I will always check the date of last activity, but the date of last activity doesn't always mean the date of last payment. Okay. It doesn't always mean first date of delinquency. So if they're going to report a date of last activity, they're reporting February 28, 2021 on TransUnion. But look here in Experian, they're reporting January 1st, 2022. Which one is it? This is the same company, same account, but you're reporting two different date of last activity dates. And let's look over here to Equifax. They're reporting July of 2020. How did that go from the date of last activity being from 2021 to 2022 to 2020? That's a big red flag. Okay, that's a huge red flag. All right, so I'm giving you a list of stuff that you can actually write this down yourself, and you can use these. You can say that the date of last activity is inaccurate. Okay. Going back to the last verified date, you can say that on Experian, the last verified date is incomplete. You can say Equifax, the last verified date is incomplete. And if they're reporting across all three credit bureaus, I will leave one section in my letter for TransUnion. I will leave another section in my letter for Experian where you make your list, and I'll leave another section in my letter for Equifax. I want them to go check each and every one, because if this company is going to report to all three credit bureaus, they better make sure that they got everything accurate. Okay. They better make sure that they have everything accurate, because sometimes a wrong date can make it look like you've been past due for so long and you haven't, all because they're reporting it inaccurately with that date of last activity. Okay, date reported. Date reported is not too much of a big thing, and I pretty much like to deal with this when I'm dealing with debt collectors, because once they report something, If you disputed it, they go back in and they change the date reported, that means they've updated it. So therefore, a debt collector must tell the credit bureaus that it was disputed by consumer. So if that date reported changed and they haven't stated or told the consumer reporting agency that it was disputed by consumer, that is a violation of the FDCPA, 15 USC 1692 E as an elephant and the number 8. They have to mark it as disputed. So that date reported is important, especially when you're dealing with debt collectors. And when I say debt collectors, y'all, I'm not talking about creditors. Now, I'm not talking about the one that extended you the credit. The definition of a debt collector has changed since April of 2022. So a debt collector is actually a third-party company that is not affiliated with the actual company that extended you the credit by ownership or anything like that. It's just a whole third-party company that the debt was probably sold, transferred, or assigned to. Okay? So we're going to look at the date open. It's got TransUnion September 4th, Experian September 1st, and Equifax September 1st. Why was the account open on Experian and Equifax on September 1st when it told TransUnion on the 4th? So that's inaccurate. They have to fix it. And if you know and got proof that was the correct date, and they come back verified, unchanged, accurate, or updated, and it's still wrong, go get you a consumer lawyer. Go get you a consumer lawyer. Because your date open, if it's a good standing account, that determines how long that account stays on your credit report. But if it's a negative and derogatory account, they're going to go back and look at your first date of delinquency and your date of last activity. That determines how long that negative account can stay on for 7 years. But the good standing accounts, they go by the date open, and that stays on your account for 10 years. Okay? And just know, during this whole entire process, no company is required to report any account to your credit. No company is required to report anything to your credit report, according to the FCRA, 15 USC 1681, under that chapter. All right, so let's check the balance owed. They say 0 going across. Close date. Now, if you're watching this and you end up watching this after the live is over, I see you see the close date. So we're talking about that the credit bureaus have to report it accurate and complete. If the close date for TransUnion is February 28, 2021, and you got the dashes in Experian and in Equifax, type in the comments whether this is inaccurate or incomplete. Okay? Whether it's inaccurate or incomplete. I want you to type that inside of the comments, okay? Type it inside of the comments. All right, so it's telling you that this account is derogatory, transferred. Okay, so now I'm seeing what type of account this is. Now, if it said that it was transferred, and I come down here and I see that it is a collections. You see it? It's a collections right down here. So that means that the actual creditor probably gave the reporting rights to the actual collection company. So if it transferred it or if it sold it to a debt collector, the balance owed must be 0. So they're reporting that correctly, okay? The balance must be 0. Now, you may see both accounts on your credit report. You may see the creditor and you may see the collection company, but only one must report a balance. They both can't report a balance. If they both are reporting a balance, you don't have to tell them exactly what they have to report, because they're reporting this information to you, to your credit report. You could just tell them balance inaccurate. Okay, that's inaccurate. Because if the creditor sold it to a collection agency or a debt collector, and they're giving their reporting rights to the debt collector, then the debt collector should be reporting the balance, not the creditor. Okay, so this is a charge off, a collection and a charge off. All right, and a collection, an account should never be a collection and a charge off at the same time, because if they charge this account off, yeah, this is so inaccurate, y'all. TransUnion, they're reporting collection charge off, Experian collection charge off, but when you look at Equifax, it says late 120 days. It's not even reporting it as a collection and charge off. So you'll say payment status inaccurate. You'll say payment status inaccurate. So I've pretty much shown you a lot of stuff that you can look at. If you want to go down on the left side and make a list of everything on here, be my guest, because you want that account to be accurate and complete. You don't want to go buy that house and it look like you 120 days past due when they're actually reporting it inaccurately. You don't want it to be a collection and a charge off, and you actually got proof that you paid this account off, and they're still reporting this, and you get denied for an apartment, or you get denied credit because they're reporting this inaccurately. The time is to start today. Don't wait till you get that denial. Now you got, because if somebody's telling you that you can fix your credit in 14 days, they are lying to you. The CRAs are given a requirement of 30 days, sometimes 45 days. But if you dispute within the 30 days, don't send another dispute. Let that 30-day run, because they can extend it 15 more days. So they're allowed 30 to 45 days to respond to your dispute or fix, delete, update, whatever they do to it. So they have up to 30 to 45 days. So don't let nobody tell you that they can fix your credit in like 14 days. If they are, they're doing something. They're not fixing your credit the legal way. Okay? They're not fixing your credit the legal way. So with that being said, I'm gonna change my screen. If y'all got any questions, Miss Mika, with a hospital bill, I don't care what collections it is, you can get a collections deleted if they're reporting inaccurately. And I always say inaccurately because if you're dealing with, like, say for instance, you have a debt collector that's collecting on that medical bill that you have, they're reporting it to your credit report. They are required by law to report accurately and complete. So if they're reporting inaccurately, you can get them for violations under the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And the difference between violations with the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the remedy that you get, the monetary remedy that you can get by law is up to from $100 up to $1,000 per account. But when you're dealing with, and it depends on the severity now. So if you're going to like federal court or anywhere like that, your lawyer end up going there with you, because I advise you to get a consumer lawyer. It depends on the frequency and how many times they violated you, where you go into what they call actual damages and punitive damages. But if you're just dealing with statutory, you get from $100 up to $1,000. But if you're doing FCRA violation, you see how many violations I found in this one account? And if the credit bureaus would have sent this to the furnisher, inaccurate amount, everything that I just listed in this video, I don't care what, like the account number, high balance, last verified, data, last activity, they reported. If they're reporting it inaccurately, yes, those are violations. Each one of those are violation if they don't fix it. And if they can't fix it, update it, it must be deleted. And when you're writing your dispute letters, you have to tell them what you want them to do. You have to tell them what you want them to do. If you can't update it, if you can't make it accurate and complete, you must delete. Okay? Can't make it accurate and complete, you must delete. For each, and I will, if your dispute letter is 8 pages long, I will send them 8 pages long. And two, if you're disputing, you don't necessarily have to dispute through letter. You can also dispute by phone with the credit bureaus. So if they and y'all get in the habit of recording these conversations with these CRAs, because they'll tell you anything, and you want to have something on record showing that they told you this. Because when I spoke at the beginning of this live about you asking for your consumer report versus your consumer file, I asked them about my consumer file. Can I get a copy of my consumer file? They denied me. Come to find out, they're not supposed to deny you a copy of your credit file, your consumer file. They're not supposed to deny you a copy of your consumer file. So I recorded that. I got that. I'm going to use that. So any violation that you can get them on, By means, make sure you have to have it in writing. If you call, make sure you record if you can. When you dispute over the phone, you can sit down and say you can reread them your letter if you want to. If you sent them a dispute letter and you haven't responded, they haven't responded back in 30 days, you can call them. Or if you disputed and like 2 weeks then passed, you haven't received anything, you could call them to check to see if they received it. I've even had a consumer reporting agency to tell me that they hadn't even received my dispute. I said, "You sure about that?" And the lady said, "No, let me check." She said, "No, we haven't received your dispute." So I said, "Hold on one second." I went back to my Google Drive. I went to that exact letter. I told her the date of the letter. I told her the date I mailed it. And I told her the date from the certified mail receipt, the date that they received it. How about the lady turned around and said, "Oh, we do have it right here. Your dispute is right here." They can't lie about that either. That's a violation. So that's why I say always get in the habit of recording these conversations, because they'll lie to you. They consider you, the word that they call consumers by law is unsophisticated consumer. That's what they call it, unsophisticated consumer. But that's why you join the secret TLC. That's why you watch my YouTube channel, because you're trying to become that sophisticated consumer to where you can fix your own credit. You're the only one that controls what's being reported to your credit report. Nobody else can fix your credit but you. Nobody else. Now, if you hire a credit repair agency company, by all means, you know what I'm saying, that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I'm here to tell you, it's easy if you do it yourself. It's a little time consuming, but it's rewarding when you get the remedy yourself. And then when you learn this skill, you can show your family, you can help your family. You might not want to see your mama get that debt collection letter in the mail. Don't contact my mama. Cease and desist. Don't send us nothing. If anything, the debt collector, you send them that cease and desist, the debt collector got to send that letter back to the creditor. Send it back to the creditors. Let them pursue me. But I don't owe a debt collector. That's one way you can help your family members out. All right. So if you got any question, you can respond under this post. I will be uploading this video to YouTube. This will not last in Facebook long. So make sure you take good notes. You got any questions, you know you can text me at 504-517-5098. If you want to send me any type of document so I can take a look at it, I don't do credit repair. I don't consult on what you should do with your credit report. I'm talking to you as if showing you how I went through my process of fixing my credit. These are the tactics and the steps and the procedures that I use. So there's no guarantee of any type of remedy. It's all up to you. Okay, it's all up to you. But you the one got to take action, and you're the only one that can control what's being reported to your credit report. All right. And I want to thank you all for watching.